lemonade crunchy. I sip it once, sip it twice, please. Gulp.
Also, this is probably horrible timing to film a video when I'm weeks away from giving birth because I'm so out of breath with every word that I speak. So, sorry for all the heavy breathing like a dog. Hi, Tucker. Good boy. He's sleeping next to me. Hello, you guys. Welcome back to my channel. I know I'm not consistent with posting videos, but I just had an urge to film my July wrap-up because I thought we've had Summerween, we've had 4th of July, we've had so many good summer reads come out this month.
So I have just been on my game, and I've read 14 books this month.
I am so ready to share all of the books I read this month because a lot of them are 5 stars, some of them are 4 stars. It has been a solid reading month for sure. I've read some thrillers, I've read some romance, I've read some graphic novels, so I got a little mixture coming towards your way. If you're in the need for some good recommendations, you're gonna want to keep watching this video. Let's kick it off with my favorite read of the entire year. Yeah, I found my favorite read of the entire year so far. If you follow me on Bookstagram, you've heard me talk about this book many times. I promise this is not the last time I'm going to talk about it, but it's Hidden Pictures. Wow. I had heard about this book from a couple of different friends, and they talked about how they really enjoyed it. It was unique, it was fun, it was scary, but honestly, it kind of intimidated me because I thought it was quite big and the premise of it sounded just okay to me. Basically, what this book is about is it's about a nanny, a babysitter who's taking care of this 5-year-old named Teddy, and she comes across pictures that he draws, and some of the pictures are bunny rabbits, goats, them playing together outside, and some of them are potentially a murder that this child has witnessed. And the pictures range so drastically and get so scary, and they're actually in the book too, which makes it so unique. So I had such a good time reading this one. I read it during Summerween and I could not put it down. I read it in 24 hours. Which I haven't done that with a book in a really long time. There's definitely trigger warnings for this book. If reading about things that happen to children that are disturbing and alarming triggers you in any way, I will say to just proceed with caution because this one definitely tackles that, but it has a really good ending, and that's exactly why I gave it 5 stars. And I think that this author is going to be an auto-buy for me from now on. And I can't say enough good things about this one. I felt every emotion while reading it. And I will show you a picture from it because you need to see how cute this kid is when he draws pictures. Like, that's them swimming and that's them playing in the yard. So cute. So the pictures just add to it. So I definitely don't recommend that you listen to this one on audio, or if you do, make sure you have a physical copy so you can do both at the same time. So good. Ed was Ariadne, and this is a Greek mythology sort of book, and it is very poetic and beautiful. The writing style feels so different from other books. Jennifer Saint was just born to write Greek mythology. I can't see her tackling any other genre because the way she writes in this time period is just so stunning and makes you stop in your tracks as you're reading it, because there are just sentences in here that you want to circle or highlight and replay in your mind because I don't know how she comes up with it, but it was fantastic. Some might say this is a little bit of a slow-moving book in the second half, which I would kind of agree. The beginning definitely took me Storm and Norman, and I was hooked. And then towards the end, I noticed it going a little bit slower. But as a whole, This book was so good, and Lauren recommended it to me and has been recommending that I read this for the longest time. And I'm so glad that she did because I absolutely loved it. I'm definitely going to pick up Electra next from Jennifer Saint because I was such a fan of this one. And if you're nervous about Greek mythology, but you want to try it, this is a good one to start with. The next book is a romance, and this is one you've probably seen everywhere on Bookstagram, Love and Other Words. The two characters, Macy and Elliot, are in it, and I love that it goes from when they were really young to the middle of their life to when they're adults, and you watch their romance unfold in a friendship to lovers sort of direction. And I'm a big fan of that type of romance, basically the friends to lovers. I think this book is so cute because they have words that they share with each other that are their favorite words. And I'm a huge words person. I mean, I love to chat, I love to talk, but you can totally swoo me. I think I was trying to say swoon, but let's just make that a new word. You can swoon me with words alone. So I think this is just why I gravitated towards this one. But I think this one is so well loved by everyone out there. So it makes sense that I also enjoyed it so much. There is something that happens at the end that bothered me a little bit, but I know some people will bypass that and not bat an eyelash or an eyelid on that. They'll be fine with it. So this was a Christina Lauren book that I actually enjoyed. I will say I've read part of The Unhoneymooners and part of Something Wilder, and those were two that for some reason I just couldn't get into them right away. But this one I got into and my attention was held throughout the whole entire book. I loved this one. I thought it was great, and I think I gave it 4 stars. Now I'm going to get into some of the Summerween books. I got this month. It's a new release. It's called M is for Monster. It's a graphic novel, and the colors in this book are quite interesting. You know, nothing is different from this color pattern here. It's all greens and blacks, which that's the only thing that I didn't like about this one because I'm such a vibrant color sort of person. I love tons of color in my books, especially for graphic novels. But aside from the illustrations and the color scheme, the story itself was so good. This surprised me a lot. Basically what it's about is 2 sisters, and one of them passes away really like before the book even starts. And she comes back to life because her sister is a scientist and recreates her body kind of like a Frankenstein. So it is a Frankenstein retelling, but it is very different. It's got its own story in it that's more emotional and lots of sisterhood themes in it. But I think this one is fantastic for spooky season. I think it would be great for you to pick up if you like anything to do with Frankenstein. There's representation in this book. There is a lot of grief in this book. And I read it in like one sitting because I wanted to see how it was going to turn out. And I was really happy with it. But I don't know. I think this is one that surprised me. And I'm really happy I decided to buy it because I think it's going to be one I will pick up again a few more times. The next book is a spooky middle grade, and it is The Haunting of Aveline Jones. This was hard to get my hands on, not gonna lie, because it is a British author. And so I bought it through Amazon, and it took, I think, like a week and a half to get here, which isn't too bad. But if you want to get your hands on it, I feel like Amazon is the only place that I could find it. This was such a cozy and atmospheric read. I feel like it didn't matter that it was 80 degrees outside. I felt like I was in fall. And that's because this book is just so cozy and creepy and fun. And it's the perfect book for you to pick up in October. It's basically about this girl named Aveline who is visiting her aunt in this coastal town that is adorable, that has bookstores and fish and chip shops, and it's right by the sea. And she comes across a book in the bookstore that is written by a girl around her age. And it turns out it ends up being some sort of diary that's kind of unfolding some weird things that are happening to this girl. But Aveline kind of relates to that so much because she's noticing weird things are happening. So it's definitely a ghost story type of book. And not gonna lie, it actually creeped me out a little bit. I was scared for some of the ending and it's a middle grade. So I don't know if that tells you anything, but I thought this one was so worth getting, and Gavin recommended this. That's where I first heard about this one, but I read it with my friends Kendall and Liv, and we all three enjoyed it. We thought it was really good, and it's a really short one because it's middle grade. If you like spooky middle grade, you really can't go wrong. I think you'll love this one, and there are 2 other books in the series as well, because the ending, while it's not a cliffhanger, you can tell that she's going to have more on the road ahead of her, and she is just branching into this world of spookiness and really welcomes ghosts in her life, I feel like. So, love ya, Aveline. You're so cute. You're like a little Harry Potter in girl form. Okay, we got some Sagers. Light Sagers. Ooh, 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 ooh. Those were like lightsabers, if you didn't catch that direction I was heading, which was a stupid direction. I actually read 3 Riley Sagers this month, which is kind of excessive, I would say, but it was Summerween and I really wanted to read all of the thrillers, and I had so many on my list that I've had that I haven't read yet, so I'm glad that I got to them. Now, 2 out of 3 of these were 2 stars. One of them was 5. Can you guess which one was which? Why don't we start with the lows first? Okay. Survive the Night and Final Girl. Sadly, these were both 2 stars for me. This one, I did not get into it. It was slow moving for me, and in comparison to the Final Girl support group, which is very, very close in plot with this one, I just loved that one way, 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 way more. I could not get into the characters of this one. There were so many choices at the end where I was just like, you are such an idiot. Do you have a brain? Or is there just fluff in your head? I was so frustrated. I thought the twist was not original, and I felt like none of it shocked me at all, and I wanted so much more. I didn't have really issues with the writing. I've heard a lot of people complain and say that the writing's not great in this because it's his first book. I don't know if that's what it was for me. I think it was just the direction the book went and everything that happened. I couldn't get into it, so that's why this one was 2. Now this one, I will say, I definitely got into this one more. I think the whole idea of driving with a serial killer is fun, fast-paced, kept my attention. But I think that what lacked in this one was, again, the characters sometimes drove me nuts and I did not understand their thought process. Also, the twist. There were a couple twists in this, and I know it was totally meant to shock the reader and everything, but as I was reading it, I was kind of just like, oh, okay, so that person's doing that thing. Okay, that's fine. I just didn't get that jaw-dropping moment. It missed the mark. It could have been so much better, and it could have gone in a different direction, and that would have helped, but it's hard to kind of share all my thoughts on this one because I would have to be telling you all the spoilers, and I don't want to do that. But for that reason, this one was also 2 stars. Pour yourself a glass of something, because we're going to dive into this one. The House Across the Lake. Hoo-hoo-hoo. So many people don't like this one, and I don't understand. Did we read the same book?
I freaking loved this book. I had crazy eyes as I was reading. My eyes were just like...
I thought this was great from the beginning to the end. I didn't read it really fast because I wanted to savor it. I read it on my my baby moon trip. And then I kept reading it as I came home, but I spent a good chunk of days reading this one. And I feel like the issues people have are that they think it's cliche and they think that there's too many classic thriller like pieces from other books or other movies that he puts in here, but he does that intentionally because he wants it to be that way. And I love that. I think that's so fun to pull pieces from different movies or different books that you are familiar with as a reader or a watcher. So I thought that was fine. And the twists, like, did we just sell out the twist tie factory? Because they were so good. I didn't see a single twist coming, and I think that's why I loved it so much. And I feel like if you go into this one, you will just be either feeling how I did, thinking it's awesome, or maybe you'll hate it from the beginning. I don't know. But I can't say too much because I don't want to give anything away. I've seen people say certain things about this one, and I'm like, why are you saying that? That's giving a clue. We're not playing a game here. It's not Miss Scarlet with the revolver. Don't say a clue, please. Let's not do that. Now I'm going to go over the audiobooks that I listened to this month. So I listened to the Summer I Turned Pretty series because I binged the show, watched it 2 times through, was obsessed, loved, adored, idolized. It was so good, so I wanted to see what the books were all about. Plus, I've read Jenny Han when I was younger, when I read To All the Boys I Loved Before, so I thought maybe, the series will be fun and cute, and it'll be what I want right in the month of July. I was wrong. I was wrong. I have an unpopular opinion. This was not my favorite series by a landslide. Book 1, fine. Book 2, kind of depressing. Book 3,
No.
when you spend so much time starting to understand characters just to have them completely shift and change in the last book, it doesn't make sense. In fact, it's really infuriating. I feel like in the last book, it's a free-for-all. It's like letting kids go get candy at a candy table and giving them no guidance. Get candy, kids! Don't you want to kind of limit that and say maybe get 5 pieces or 4 pieces so they don't upchuck? Because I was upchucking when I read this last book. Upchuck City. Well, it's a love triangle. We've got Conrad, we've got Jeremiah, we've got Belly. We know that she's going to pick one of them. And to be honest, I'm just going to be real raw. I didn't want her to pick either of them by the last book. My hope is the show will be a lot better. And my hope is that the directors will not change characters all of a sudden like Jenny Han did. I think, obviously, we have their lifespan. They go from really young, 16, to college age in the last one. But even with all of those changes as you mature and get older, it's almost like some of the characters mature for the worse. And you can't even really call it maturing because of some of the things they decide to do. So I just wish I didn't read the last book. I wish I had stuck to the first and the second one because then I wouldn't have had a problem with the series. I guess what I'm saying is try the series if you can get past characters just crushing your soul, I guess. Or letting kids go to a candy bar and not having any rules. If you're fine with that, then I'd say it's for you. The next book I listened to is What Moves the Dead, and this one was interesting. I think you're gonna have to make sure your stomach is steel if you listen to this book. This book is so similar to Mexican Gothic. It has very similar vibes, but I think the reason why I'm giving this one about 3 stars is it was very short and there were still moments where I felt like some of what was going on was unnecessary to be written. And if you're gonna have a short book, I feel like the pace has to be spot on so that your attention is held the entire way through. My attention was only kind of held during the gross parts. And if you have read this book, all I can picture is this. I know that's big, but neck, snap. That's all I'm saying. And I feel like the cover totally drew me in, and the premise drew me in because it's about a woman who's sick and there's something going on in this house, whether it's a disease that's being spread or something to do with a lake outside that has spores. And so it's just very on the creepy side and very gothic, which I love reading gothic books. But for some reason, it didn't hold me. It didn't hold me. The ending was kind of anticipated. I figured that's what would happen. And I wanted more from a really short book. So it wasn't my favorite, but I didn't hate it. So that's why I kind of landed on the 3-star mark. Last book I will talk about, I read as an ARC, and it's coming out at the end of August. It is called Suburban Hell. So this was a book that was so fun to read, but also, again, you need a stomach of steel. It was creepy. It was terrifying. It was demonic, literally. It felt like, what am I about to do as I become a mother? Am I gonna become demon possessed like this woman in this book? I don't know. Is that what kids do to you? All of a sudden, you're welcoming Satan? No way, no way. You will love this book if you love Finley Donovan, or if you love My Best Friend's Exorcism, or if you love reading about motherhood in a dark way. Basically, it's about this group of neighborhood moms, and they live in the suburbs. Their life is filled with long days with their children, PTA meetings, margarita nights, and lots of neighborhood get-togethers. So at one of the get-togethers, they notice that one of the mom friends is acting so bizarre. And I don't just mean they're acting a little shady or a little off canter. I mean they're acting demon possessed. So right away, this book gets into it, and it just takes you on a wild ride. Like, we're talking vacuums start spazzing out, the robo ones, LOL dolls' eyes start blinking, crazy stuff happens. And I feel like the plot of this book is just so fun for summer because while it is lighthearted, it's also super dark, and I would classify it as light horror. So if you're into that at all, I think you should try this one. I ended up giving this one 4 stars. So it was safe to say I was very happy with it. I thought it was really fun. I'll definitely remember the fun characters from this one. So that is about it. Those are all the books that I read and listened to this month. I hope you can add some to your list. If you can't because you've read them all, let's chat about them because I love talking about my favorite books, especially this one. Oh! I've seriously got that book for a couple of my friends because I'm forcing them to read it. It's probably not good to do as a friend. Forcing things, not good. I just want to say thank you for still subscribing to my channel, even though I'm not consistent with videos. I don't know what the rest of the year will hold, but I do know that sometimes I just get in the mood to film something, and that's what you can look forward to, basically. But I really want to thank you for watching. Got my scrunch. Thanks a bunch, and I'll see you in my next video.